Welcome to our next episode of OceanViews. I am so excited to be here with today's guest. So, Klara, could you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Of course, I'm happy to be here. My name is Klara. I'm 23 years old and I'm from Hamburg, Germany, but I lived in the Netherlands for the past few years. And I'm the founder of the nonprofit organization LittleBigDreams, which supports kids in Vietnam, specifically an orphanage in Kon Tum, Vietnam, that's central Vietnam. And what we do is we do a lot of construction projects, but also personal sponsorships. And our goal is to support the local structure over there in supporting the kids on their personal educational journey and just overall on their path to like following their dreams. And what I do apart from that is I'm a psychology major, so I'm doing my master's in clinical psychology and psychotherapy, and I work as a youth counselor on the side.
Wow, that is just so amazing. And you're doing all of these things. How do you actually balance it all? How do you make space for everything and not completely burn out as well?
Well, I have to be completely honest there. It's been a challenge over the past few years, balancing it all. I think for me, one way of learning to balance it, like all of it, is recognizing that it's also work. Even though I love what I do and I'm really passionate about it, and it sometimes feels like more of like a hobby, it is actually a lot of work too. So for me, that's been one step, just recognizing that, and also learning to distribute it more, to work in a team where you can, I don't know, support each other on that path. But also, just one step for me was also recognizing that I not only need time, like apart from my work, to just slow down a bit, but also that I need to have a lot of activities or things in my life that bring me a lot of fun and a lot of joy, but that are not work related. So because I think this is the thing with nonprofit work, just because it is a job, but we don't get paid for it. It sometimes does feel like this is what I'm doing in my free time, but just recognizing that those are still two separate things. This is what I do in my free time, but it's also work. But I also need to place a lot of emphasis on like spending time with friends and doing other things that are fun to me. Was just recognizing that and making time for both. And honestly, it's also my Google Calendar. Without it, it wouldn't be possible to balance it all. Just keeping the overview.
I love that. I love your focus on fun. I think that's something that I struggled with recently. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm just missing having a creative outlet, because it was like work and uni and seasons of change, but not something fun in there, because it is so hard, because it is something that you do in your free time because you're not paid for it. So it's like a passion project, but it's lovely to have this passion project, but it's just so hard to balance it all. So thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of people really benefit from that insight. So I wanted to ask how you became interested in all of this. Like, what made you start this journey to working with nonprofits, like founding a nonprofit, like working with like all of that stuff? Like, what made you start this journey?
So I think I've always kind of been interested in this space. Like I started volunteering when I was a teenager and always really enjoyed working with kids. So whether that was volunteering or with my side jobs, I always really appreciated that. And after I graduated high school, I went to Asia and supported fundraising projects and orphanage projects over there in China. And after that, when I got back and started studying in the Netherlands, I started working for kind of charity organizations over there. And that just got me really just more interested in the space itself. And I think that kind of opened me up to the idea of maybe doing something like that by myself in the future. But something that really frustrated me at the same time was how I noticed that a lot of people were not as passionate about this as they maybe should have been, like while working in the space. And that made it really difficult at times. So I think that was my motivation at first, to maybe start something of my own. And then I met this incredible woman who is running the orphanage in Vietnam that we're supporting right now. And she was really inspiring to me because Teresa, she grew up in that area in Kon Tum where we're working right now. and she was an orphan herself. And together with her husband, she founded the orphanage and was really dedicating her whole life to helping these kids. And that was really inspiring to me. And yeah, that kind of motivated me in the first place to start a fundraising campaign to support her vision. And that kind of led to, yeah, just the thought of like, well, this is not really sustainable. This is not really helping long term. But she has this amazing long-term vision for the kids. And that's something that we want to support as well. So that's why I founded the nonprofit organization to support her in her long-term goals.
That is absolutely incredible. And what a story, and what like a testament to you as a person and how lovely and kind you are in doing all of that. So that is just absolutely amazing. And I'm just excited to see where you go with all of that stuff as well. But this woman who founded the orphanage must be so lucky to have found you and all of your help. But I wanted to ask, you have this amazing journey and you've started so young, you know, like with volunteering, and became so interested so early on, and then you founded this incredible nonprofit that does such amazing stuff. What would you say to young people who would also be interested in working in the same kind of field or doing the similar kind of work? What would be your advice to them for getting started?
Well, first of all, I mean, there's so many amazing local projects out there as well. So whether that is like from your school or your college, like for example, I first started volunteering through my school. And then later on when I was in college, there were also student organizations who had like opportunities to join committees where you could kind of just get started and have a little bit of an insight into the fields and connect to people who work in the field and just collect a few more experiences. So I think that's always a really great opportunity to get started. But also, I think there are amazing opportunities online as well. So if you're in a space where there is not much around, or like a community where there aren't many opportunities like that, then I think there's so many options to also volunteer virtually. So I think that could also be a great start into something, or to reach out to organizations. For example, through social media, there are lots of options. Like, for example, you could find us on social media and then just send a message out, because it doesn't hurt to ask if anybody needs support. That's what I first did when I did the volunteering project with China. I just sent out an email and asked, like, do you need any support at the moment? And usually you get really great feedback, and it never hurts to just ask and talk to people. And if you already have something in mind, then I think my advice would just be to just give it a go, because you never know like what's going to happen. Like when I started this project, I didn't really think super long term. I thought that this is what I want to try out, but I didn't know that it would turn into something like this. I just gave it a go. And I think my first step was to create a fundraising page. So if you have something that you're really passionate about, or a cause that you would want to support in this space, like a fundraising space, then I would just recommend for you to just create that page and or go outside and start fundraising. And step by step, you can create a movement. And for example, like an active part of the team at Curve, which is a social network that supports social change. And for example, they have this new feature where you can create movements on there. And it's really easy and simple. So that would also be an option to just get going with it.
Yes, and we love Curve. There's also the ability to like join other movements, right? And to post with other movements and all of that stuff and get connected. So would definitely recommend hopping onto Curve once it officially launches everywhere. But just before we go on to the next question, you said to reach out to you guys on your social media, that you're always looking for people. Do you want to plug your social media for us? How can they reach out to you?
Well, they can always reach out to us via Instagram. That always works. And we also have a mobile number on our website through which we can be reached through WhatsApp, and email also works. You can find all the contact details on our website, which is LittleBigDreams.org. And yeah, just reach out. Awesome. Always happy to hear from you.
Thank you. And we will tag all the social medias down in the comment section. Also talking about what you're doing. Do you have any upcoming projects or current projects that you'd specifically like to share with us?
Yes, we do actually. So one of the really big projects right now is what we call an education house. So that is a big construction project that we have ongoing at the moment, which will contain 4 different classrooms. One of them will be a computer classroom, so that the kids can practice their computer skills and also finish their homework for school and do a bit of research and also study English with a program. And it will also contain a library so that the after school studies can be done there. So that's one of the big construction projects that we have. But another thing that we're doing right now is we're planting a lot of fruit trees in the garden, because our goal with the project is that the orphanage will be self-sustainable at some point. And for that to happen, we, for example, built a bakery and already plant a lot of fruit trees and a lot of vegetable patches, which are already contributing to the self-sustainability aspect. But we still have a long way to go there. So that's something that we're doing right now. And another thing that we're doing from over here is we're going to be starting a project soon, which has more of the community aspect and is targeted at really young people being able to support the project. And as we know, a lot of young people don't have the financial means to really, to support a project like this with a lot of money. But what we're trying to do is we're doing this project where you can only give €1, or you can also choose to donate more, but €1 a week. And that way you can support this, but in a more sustainable way. But it's like a monthly flow, and you can just, be part of the project and, the part of the community and seeing where everything goes, and also actively contribute to it if you like.
That's such an amazing, first of all, those two are such amazing goals and something to be working towards, but I really like how you've worked out a way to make it sustainable and a way for people to be able to commit to something and also do it online, because with COVID and everything, it's been really hard to necessarily participate in person. So I wanted to ask, you're doing a lot of things on a global scale. How has COVID affected your work? Have you had to change what you do or any way?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's obviously affected the orphanage a lot and the kids, because they were homeschooling for most of the time. And that has definitely been a challenge for the staff over there, who has done an incredible job with everything, but also for the kids themselves. But also over here, it's been a change, because we're doing all of our meetings online now, which we got really used to. So every once in a while we get together in person as well. We just started having our first on-site events again, which was amazing to be able to talk in person again, also with the sponsors that we're having, but also the team itself. So changing everything to virtual was definitely different, but also had its positive sides, because now a few of us have also moved to different places, but we can still work together, which is incredible. So that has been a change. And also the events, for a really long time, we were only able to do fundraising events online. And I would say that the motivation there was definitely less than in person. So now we're really happy to be back with in-person events.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's so exciting to be back in person, do in-person meetings. It sounds so silly. Imagine us before COVID being excited for an in-person meeting, but now it's amazing not being on Zoom. But it's also, given us the opportunity to connect online and I guess widened our viewpoint a little bit. But other than COVID, what other challenges have you faced and how have you overcome them? To share some advice on how to overcome similar challenges.
Yeah, so first of all, founding the organization was a challenge in itself at the start, obviously. So I founded this organization when I was 20. And as you can imagine, I didn't come from a business background or anything. So everything I needed to know, I had to research at that point. So I was really thankful for Google at that point. And at the start, you also don't know how much you're capable of doing. So at the start of it, I, for example, had the situation where I thought it would be really good to consult a lawyer with drawing up all the paperwork for the whole founding process, which, Germany is a really bureaucratic country. So you need to definitely think about that. So I did all of that myself. And at the end, I just had this lawyer who was a family friend kind of just read through it. And at the end of it, he charged me a whole sum of money, even though he just read through it once. And then there was just a bit of chit chat about the weekend and, nothing interesting. And that was a big moment for me because I was so shocked and this was not how I expected things to go. But this like challenge at the start and like not knowing what to do then and just made me realize that there's actually so much that we can also just do by ourselves and that we just need to trust in it. And just because we're young doesn't mean that we can't do these things, and we can research things and just do it ourselves. And that's what was like, yeah, I don't know, just learning that in that moment was really helpful for me in the end, because since then everything's worked out as well. And yeah, so I think that was one experience. Then definitely the balancing it all, and even when there are times where things are a bit harder, or when you're worried about how things are going, you know, for example, situations where, you know, that was a huge storm in Vietnam and part of the building collapsed, and you're just really, really worried for how everything is going with the kids and all that. Just learning to balance it for yourself as well and see how much you can, yeah, I don't know, just for me, what I learned there was talking about it is really important. So having people in your life that you can talk about these things and that you can work through together with them, that was really important. So I'm really glad to have an amazing team of people and who are also my very close friends, and to be able to talk to them about these things, everything that's going on, whether it's about your work-life balance or whether it's about what's going on over there or projects that you're having. Just going through these challenges together just makes it so much easier.
Yeah, like I know, like with just our work, like I'm sure that would take such a massive emotional toll. And I think that really speaks to the importance of having a team around you and not going it alone. So thank you for sharing. I wanted to ask, I guess it's kind of a bit of a tricky question, but what is your proudest moment or your favorite memory out of this whole entire journey?
Well, it's difficult. There were so many happy moments actually, but I think one of them was probably when we had the first huge construction project finished. So that was the boys' dormitory that was built in Vietnam, and after that building was there and we were over here, but we got the videos and the phone call and saw all the children like being really, really happy about it, and the boys moving in, and they had a big celebration at the orphanage with a barbecue in front of the building. And that was a really happy moment for me because that was a big goal that we had at the start, and when that was completed, that was really great.
Wow, it would just be the best feeling in the world to have all of that done and just be on top of the world with all of that. But I guess to wrap up, I just wanted to ask, you know, starting so young and, you know, being a young person in this field, and you've spoken about like how hard it is to be young and to deal with that self-doubt of, can I do this without someone else checking it for me? Am I able to do all this stuff? So in your opinion, how powerful do you believe youth voices to be? And what would your advice be to any aspiring change makers?
Honestly, even though you think that it's really hard, I think it can also be a huge advantage. And that's like how I experienced it, to be honest. So when I go to like fundraising events, for example, a lot of the feedback I get is like, wow, you're such a young team. And this has actually been so helpful, not only because I think that the people, like most of the team are students or college students or university students. And I think it can be very, very powerful to have people in your team that are young and really driven and really motivated and come from different areas. I think that's amazing. But also the feedback that you then get is very empowering, and it's been really helpful. So I think if you're really young and you're considering doing something like this, I think it shouldn't stop you that you're young, because I think you might even be more flexible with doing things and you're already in a space of learning. And I think this is not about already knowing everything. This is about being really, really willing to learn something every day. And if you're willing to do that, then I think this is the perfect time to do it. And I think just being young and like in that spirit, I think other people are going to really be happy to support you. And so, yeah, honestly, my advice would be to just do it, to just jump into it and give it a go, because there's really not much to lose, and you're going to be learning about it step by step. So I think, yeah, just talk to people about it and just start with it, even though it's not completely planned out, but then it will become something just step by step.
That is just incredible advice, and what an amazing way to end this incredible chat. I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your wisdom and your journey with everyone. I'm sure that everyone watching and listening will be able to just learn so much from you. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for having me.